Brock Lesnar.
That is not.
AJ Styles.
That is not the topic.
Daniel Bryan. Ronda Rousey. Charlotte. There's a lot of things happening. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Hi. Welcome to the Suplex Siblings web series where we talk about Becky Lynch.
Like, exclusively. We are a Stan channel.
Yeah, officially.
My personal Twitter account has become a Stan account. Like, I apologize for none of it because, oh my god, what is even happening right now?
I'm Chris.
I'm Chris Lynn. And what in blue blazes and all the blazes are happening right now?
Purple blazes, orange blazes,
What is happening?
red blazes.
Okay,
you know,
so in
fire
case you
blazes.
missed it for some reason, first of all, Monday night, Becky Lynch, being the badass that she is, storms the castle of Monday Night Raw single-handedly, you know, with the help of the women's roster of
They were
SmackDown
kind of there,
Live.
yeah. They were distraction.
And she humiliates and destroys
The
Ronda
entire
Rousey.
roster, actually.
And then comes out there and literally, oh my god, she walks out there like it's nothing. There are 7 women out there. She's like, I'm Becky Lynch, whatever. We're all dying inside. We're like, this is everything we've ever wanted. The rest of the roster comes out. They own the Raw roster. And then Nia Botch punches her square in the face. If you have not seen the video, oh my god, WWE posted the replay and they actually zoomed in on the moment that she clocked her right in the face, broke her face, gave her a severe concussion. She will not be facing Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series this Sunday, which basically means the pay-per-view is canceled.
Yeah, let's be honest.
So, I just
And let's talk about that for just a second with the whole punch. You know, I get it. You know, a lot of people are saying it. I get it that it's wrestling. You know, you're bound to get injuries. It's a combat sport. It's just when you look at a track record for certain people, it's like, how many injuries does it have to be?
It's frustrating because it's like
from one person.
That was a slip up that
Shouldn't have happened.
shouldn't have happened.
It could have been
and
avoided.
It could have been, absolutely. And I'm sure, you know, there are things that even Becky could have done in the moment, maybe, you know, but at the same time, it's just the most unfortunate timing. I know that everybody's on the same page with us that this is just the worst news. But of course, I mean, Becky Lynch, she ran with it
Being Becky Lynch, yeah, it's...
And I mean, she was covered in blood, like what she referred to as her Irish war paint. What a legend, to be honest.
Crimson Mask. Hey.
And I'm just... And then she went out and she got to select her replacement, and we all knew obviously it's going to be Charlotte versus Ronda.
Who else would
But I
face her?
really love the way they went about that. I think that keeps Becky's momentum strong. It keeps her character really strong that she got to select it and that she chose Charlotte of all people.
And you know, it's weird, but in a strange way, this kind of helps everyone. We've talked about it before. Like, there's no losing for Becky. She can do anything,
So
and
true.
no one will care.
It's
They'll
so
still love her.
true.
She will not lose any momentum whatsoever. That's why I think it's brilliant that, you know, we were saying how, you know, if they were going to strip her of the title, if she was going to be long enough or gone long enough, then they would have done it on Tuesday.
Right.
But they clearly know something that we don't. So I mean,
And there is the whole 30-day clause where, you know, if
you don't defend the
they can't
title.
defend their title. But then again, how long did Brock Lesnar go?
like 90 days.
So
But you know,
I just know, I think they're smart enough to understand though, if they were to strip Becky of the title,
there would be
riots.
Yeah.
Like major riots. She is the company. We've said it 1,000,001 times.
You know, people already want Nia Jax fired.
I know. I mean, like, okay,
really
so
want her
let's not
fired.
go that far.
No,
Obviously, it's an accident, but there are people who are like really upset and being like, fire Nia, send her back to NXT, get her out of, you know, something. But
My only gripe with that is, you know, it's not the first person she's injured, and you know, every single time she's injured someone, it seemed so intentional to me.
Yeah.
It could be an accident, but just the way it looks, everything building up to it, it seems like she just kind of loses her temper.
Yeah, it
and
doesn't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good on her.
good.
So I mean, accidents happen. I don't know the full story. We don't really know what's going on in anyone's mind. But it's
just like the weirdest situation,
Yeah.
because we were all on a high from that
Yeah.
experience. We were all just like, this is, it's like, you know, Becky 316, like everyone's shouting this, like, oh, it's her moment, and she really did storm the castle and went all hard, and we were freaking out. And then the next day, it's just like the darkest cloud just sweeps right over us. She can't compete. This is the must-see match that everyone has been waiting for.
And like I said, I think this kind of helps though, because you know, with her being out of it, she really built on it with her promo on SmackDown. She's the one who's been putting over Ronda. Let's be honest. She's putting over herself. She's putting over Ronda. It took her like 2 days to do it.
She's putting over the entire women's roster.
She's putting
right
over
now.
the entire pay-per-view and everything. The entire company right now.
Yeah.
She's putting it over. She's making it legitimate, making it relevant. On Tuesday alone, you know, she put Charlotte over.
She did.
You know, even though, you know, people were booing her and whatnot, that's a big jump for Charlotte. You know, Charlotte was in the main event spotlight. She drastically fell. Now she's kind of being built back up.
And it was an interesting spot, I think, because like, it seems to me like the company is kind of really letting Becky run with this whole in-between persona, which I love, because she doesn't need to be a heel, she doesn't need to be a face, she just needs to be Becky Lynch, and she owns that. She's so good with that. And I think from what we saw in that moment with her selecting Charlotte, that was so like
iconic.
Yeah, because it didn't feel like she just made a face turn, but she didn't feel like a heel. You know what I mean? She just felt like she's Becky Lynch.
She's the perfect wrestler in terms of gimmick, because of the fact that she's not a heel or a face. You know, she doesn't fit into one of the little boxes. When you look at a wrestler, you can usually say, oh, you know, check this box or check this box. But with her, you can't really determine it. I mean, everyone loves her, so obviously most people will be like, oh, she's the face. But, you know, the way she acts, it's not necessarily something a face would do. So she's the perfect neutral ground wrestler. And that's why it really works, because she can do whatever she wants, and everyone loves it because she's able to do it well.
Yeah. And that's she's so good at taking this character out of the ring.
Yeah.
I think like that's what's making her so iconic right now, because you know, we'll see her in interviews and podcasts and things like that, and she's still herself. You see it's Becky Lynch, but then she sprinkles little bits of her character in there. And then of course on social media, like she's still just roasting.
And she's still putting everyone over.
Yeah. Like, and it's getting so real, which kind of cracks me up. Like, what did she say to Ronda today? Something about like, oh yeah, when I got my face broken, I got back up, owned you, then came back the next night looking for another fight, and when you got your face broken, you hid for a year under a blanket. Like, it's so real. It's too real. She is so good at this. Like, she's been so, like, underground, kept in a box for so long, and people are finally seeing, like, literally no one can touch her. She's just... It's just...
This is the only time where... This is the only subject whenever we bring this up, I'm always just like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah. It's just... It's crazy. It's crazy because... And that's why the timing is so bizarre. And obviously, it looks to me like they're going to take advantage and make it a good thing. And she's going to run with it. But
you know,
it's just so
we were talking
strange.
about the company taking advantage of the Nia thing and, you know, solidifying her as a heel.
Yeah.
She can never be a face again for a long time, at least.
It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. People are upset.
If they, you know, next week have her come out and she's, acting like a face, people will just...
They won't have it.
They will not have it. It'll just be the same thing.
What I love about this whole scenario, though, is that, I mean, we already knew going into the match the crowd was going to be behind Becky.
Yeah.
But now, I almost feel really bad for Charlotte. But, like, we know that crowd is going to be so behind Becky, even without her being in the match.
I
really
hope she's there.
Yeah.
I hope she cuts a promo. I hope she does, like, some sort of... they always do those video packages or the video promos from a satellite, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Do something. Have her presence known.
Because that's what I think that's what the pay-per-view is going to really lack.
Well, that's
if they
what
don't have
people are paying
her
for.
presence there. Yeah,
That's what people are paying for, is to see Becky. You know, it sounds dumb, but that's That's
it's a
what
fact.
it is. It's a fact.
She's the company. She is, because you think about the WWE Championship. Oh yeah, that just dropped to Daniel Bryan. Let's turn him heel.
Who was talking about it?
Who was in it? Yeah, that was a huge thing. Daniel Bryan won the championship, turned heel, is facing Brock Lesnar. Everybody was talking about Becky Lynch.
You know, and the Daniel Bryan thing, we will get into it a little bit, but you know, that is a big deal. That is a major thing. You know, he hasn't held the title in how many years now? Like 4 years. So, and the fact that he's facing Brock Lesnar, that was a dream match in 2014 for a lot of people. That's a big deal. You know, I've seen a few people pointing that out, saying, "Oh my God, you know, he's finally, we're getting the dream match. Finally, he's the champion again. He turned heel. Oh my God." You know, and I've seen a few people saying now, oh, you know, why would you turn Daniel Bryan heel? But at the same time, when it happened, people were still on the high of Becky just did this.
Exactly. Becky did this killer thing last night, and now she's here, and now she can't be at the pay-per-view that we were paying to see her at. And it was so huge. Before SmackDown even came on, I had told you, I was like, it was like 2 p.m. and I was like, oh my God, no way.
Yeah, she was
happened.
seeing
like already across these
dirt sheets.
Yeah, like CBS Sports, all these different broadcasting companies, like they were reporting on this happening, and I'm just like, there's no way.
When's the last time you've seen so many official websites and articles and everything, and sports outlets talking about not just wrestling but a female athlete in such a high regard? You know, just immediately as soon as they get the information, that
because
just shows just
like,
how important
so
she is.
I mean, we were just talking about how it's so fascinating. Like, neither of us can remember a time when we were this invested in a wrestler.
In wrestling in general.
In wrestling, yeah. In the company. Like, I
think the last time I was this invested was when we started watching again back in like 2009. You know,
we've been watching up to that point, but we stopped after.
We stopped for a while, and then
for a year.
Yeah.
And that was like a rough time, because I agree, because I think back to, like, you know, when I was like 14 years old, like Jeff Hardy at that time, like that was the most
I'm talking about the most I was invested was, you know, we kind of came in the middle of it, but the Randy Orton Triple H feud, I loved that when I was younger. That was like the most invested I was, because it was fresh to me. You know, coming back, we were just like, oh hey, this is really cool.
Yeah.
But then this is that times 10.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is because now, maybe it has to do with the fact that we are adults, so you know, we're not as captivated by those things anymore. And so when you have this kind of polarizing figure like Becky Lynch, who comes in, she embodies everything that you would want to see in a role model, in a character,
in everything.
And everything. She's all encompassing, and so it's, as an adult, it's such an interesting feeling to be so invested
in this one person,
in this storyline, this character, and to have that kind of taken away in this moment, it's just like, it's so frustrating.
But at the same time, I know for a fact that she's going to be able to feed off of this, come back and just use this to her advantage, which
absolutely,
that's what she's done this whole time, is use everything thrown at her to her advantage. She's brilliant, honestly. You know, obviously there's writers and whatnot that they do script a lot of things, but you can't script every single thing she posts.
Her personality, you know, and you can't. She just. And I think it's also proof with the way that she handles herself on social media. It shows that there's a lot of herself in this character she's portraying on TV, because
it's
she's
her
just,
amplified kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like her alter ego almost, like coming out of her.
And that's what a wrestler's supposed to be.
Yeah, I've heard them say
that. You know, that's
times,
what a lot of people don't realize, but the best gimmicks are usually the alter ego gimmicks. You know, something that it's you but amplified.
Right, because we need to believe it.
Yeah.
And so if you don't believe it, how can we believe it?
If you know that you're acting, then everyone else is going to know you're acting.
Right.
But if you know that, hey, this part's true, we're going to believe that's true.
I think that's why a lot of superstars struggle, is because they do come in with this
big attitude.
This idea that, like, and they are acting, they are putting on a show, but it's hard. It's not everybody has that inborn ability to just take it and run and just, you know, be authentic.
And that's really the trick, is that if you're not going to be the authentic character, you really have to be open and willing to do just over the top things. I mean, look at EC3. Super over the top. He is kind of similar to the character, but not to that extent.
Right, and if somebody was like that in real life, we would hate
We
their
would be
guts.
like, oh my god,
worse.
he's
So
such a
obviously
Chad.
it's an amplified version.
Yeah.
Think about like the Velveteen Dream.
Right.
I'm sure that is just a notch up of what he's like. What I mean? And and sometimes they're given personas. Like think about The Undertaker, and like Vince had that idea for a long time, and he was like, "You're the guy. You're gonna do this." And obviously, it wouldn't be the same if it wasn't Mark Calloway being The Undertaker, because he brought himself
look
to
at
that.
Kane, and no one else could play Kane.
Exactly, and that's because of who they are, and because they brought their own flavor to the character. Whereas I see a lot of superstars who really just, it's like, you kind of hear that term like with your style, your clothing. Like, are you wearing the clothing or is it wearing you? Exactly. And a lot of people are being worn by their character rather than, the other way around. So she just has this ability, this gift, and it's, I mean, obviously, she's even said a million times, like she wasn't born this way. She worked really, really hard, but there are some things that you just can't teach. You know what I mean? You can't teach her personality. You can't teach her wit. You know what I mean?
Or her athletic ability. You can teach athletic ability, but you can't teach just naturally being able to develop the athletic ability. Everything that goes into the character. Well, and she's
talked about how, like, when she was a kid, she wasn't athletic, and she worked really, really, really hard, and now she's at a point where it's just like it's second nature. She's just so capable of everything that she puts her mind to, because she's a workhorse.
I think
she's teachable.
Teachable is a great word, because if you do a lot of research in regards to wrestling training, WWE, their trainers, what they're looking for really is they're looking for people who are teachable.
Exactly. They're not looking for the superstar. They're looking for somebody who can learn and who is willing to learn, to put in all of the work. And
that doesn't just mean, you have to be this IQ or whatever to be able to learn this. It's you have to be open and willing to criticism and being able to, at least try.
Right, and showing improvement. Because when, I think what happens is a lot of people they'll receive notes and then
they get stagnant.
They don't take it. They don't evolve or progress, and that's really, in the WWE, that's so important to them. Is just this quality of not perfection. It's just perseverance and and that's why she is the embodiment of a superstar, because she is that guy.
She is, yeah.
And she's always persevered. She's always been the workhorse. It's just this whole situation just has me in so many mixed emotions, because on the one hand I'm like so excited for what she's done and what she's doing and where she's going, and on the other hand I'm disappointed about not seeing the match, but I'm also, it's concerning, because when somebody gets a concussion, it's a scary thing, and if she were to get harmed or hurt, or now she's more susceptible to receiving another concussion in the future. And it's scary, because like you care about these people and you don't want to see them getting hurt. You know that it's a possibility, but when it happens, it's like devastating.
And we were talking about how Becky, she could do anything. It doesn't matter, whatever. They can have this match later.
Oh, absolutely.
And we were even,
I could see,
Royal Rumble.
WrestleMania,
yeah.
Like,
honestly,
this is, and it's they built it up to a point where I think, and I think they're smart enough to see within the company that this is a WrestleMania type match, because of the hype. Everyone is so on board with this and so excited.
And I think the smartest thing that they can do, though, is if they still want to, set up something different with Ronda, obviously they're not. They might do another Charlotte Ronda match. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Think they will.
I don't think so.
I think they're realizing that Becky is the company. She's the main event. I don't necessarily like. I don't think it would be the best thing to have the two of them at Mania, simply because I feel like at that point in time, no one at all is going to be behind Ronda, and if she's not a heel, then it's going to be one of those matches where it's just like, why is this happening?
Right. So
especially if she wins, and
right.
that's where I think if they're gonna do that match, she has to get some losses under her belt first.
Absolutely, and I think that with the hype of this Survivor Series, like Survivor Series is a big pay-per-view. It's one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, and so of course people are hyped about it. But the fact that this was the match that everybody cared about, I'm hoping that they'll see like, oh, so if we go to Mania, the crowd is going to go nuts if we announce that, hey, the match you never got, the match you wanted to see, it's happening at Mania. If this was the first ever female main event at Mania, it would blow the roof off the place. And I think that is a main event of WrestleMania worthy match.
Yes, definitely.
100%. But even if they were to face each other at the Royal Rumble, I think it would be fantastic.
However, I do think that at the Royal Rumble, that's kind of, I think that's when they should have, Nia Jax get her opportunity and then lose within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But, no.
But the thing is, but then you think about this, though, when I think about Mania, I want Becky to remain the champion up until that point. And if her, because Ronda, I don't see her losing the title anytime
I don't see her
soon.
going to SmackDown
so,
either.
If, you know what I mean, it would have to be whoever usually whoever wins the Royal Rumble.
They could do a champion versus champion, but
match,
it wouldn't make sense because of the Royal Rumble.
Exactly. So that's why I could see them doing it at the Rumble, which would still be huge and everyone would be excited. I just hope they don't drop the ball and just wait like a year. You know what I mean? Or like to make
4 years, Daniel Bryan, Brock Lesnar.
Oh my gosh, yeah, wait forever because they have other things going on because they need to capitalize on this because
capitalize on the momentum.
This is what we want.
Let's be honest here. Right now, Ronda Rousey is at the peak right now.
Right, she's
at
reached her peak.
She's already.
She
hasn't even been a year.
And it's,
So.
I obviously she still has a lot to learn, and so maybe she will just improve with time. I don't know, but I do think she has reached a peak point where if
that's what really happens though when you're immediately given the title is that you peak immediately because now what?
Oh, I know, because
there's no build up.
And if she's not going to face Becky Lynch, who is her only rival really because then what is there to do?
That's a perfect comparison is that the original Becky Lynch character, when she won the title, first ever champion, that was the peak of that character.
Yep.
What else can you do from there? Right now, she's with this character and this gimmick. She's just riding this momentum to the top.
She's still evolving.
She's still evolving.
There's so much more to do, and I think that this is a character that never has to stop because she'll always have a new angle. I mean, think about it. Like people were concerned about, her and Charlotte. Oh, well then what? What is she going to do then? She picked up the next week immediately after she squashed Charlotte. She comes out the next week and is just like, I'm coming after Ronda Rousey. And now I'm calling myself the man because to be someone, you have to beat me. Like, she already moved on, like she's evolving quickly and there's always a new route for her to take. And it's such a weird situation right now because it's like so exciting for Becky, but also so awful for Becky. Like, I don't even know what to feel.
At the end of the day, I think, I think they're smart enough to have her at least there at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Because if she isn't, like we said, what are they going to do if she isn't? So, predictions for the two new matches. There's Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan. What's your prediction for that?
I mean, I don't see Lesnar losing. I don't know. This is a weird thing because now there's a complete curveball here because they have this weird thing with Daniel Bryan where somehow he defeats everybody. I like Daniel Bryan, but that to me is just ridiculous.
It's weird because he's, the ultimate underdog, so it doesn't really make sense for him to win every match.
Yes, and that's, I don't know. I don't see Lesnar losing, but I can see Daniel Bryan winning, if that makes any sense. Like especially if he's a heel right
Lesnar,
now. He can win in some fluke way.
Right. I can see Lesnar not being pinned or submitted.
Yes.
I can see him losing by some sort of disqualification.
Yeah.
There's a count out. Something happens, some sort of forfeit or something. I don't know. Something goes wrong.
Right.
Charlotte, Ronda Rousey.
I think Ronda will win. If it was the other way, if it was Becky, I would probably have a different answer, or like some kind of flip flop here and there, could go either way. But with Charlotte, I do see Ronda winning, just because Charlotte, no momentum right now. Yes, Charlotte beat Asuka. Yes, Charlotte is Charlotte.
That was a while ago.
But yeah, it's just I don't think it would make sense to have Charlotte win. It really wouldn't. Unless you're gonna have her go to Raw.
Now,
you know what I mean? Like I just don't see that happening.
I will say that the one instance I do see her winning is if they want to completely shock everyone. We were talking about this earlier, where I was saying, have Becky interfere.
Yeah.
Keep the momentum of Becky versus Ronda going. Have her interfere. Cost Ronda the match.
See, if they had any plans of having them face each other at the Royal Rumble, that would be perfect.
That would be perfect.
Because then she comes in, she costs Ronda the win. It keeps their feud fresh, keeps it going, keeps people so excited to see Becky. And
Charlotte can turn heel in the process. This would also be the perfect way for them to set up. Because we all know that they're eventually going to do 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen.
Yeah.
This is a perfect opportunity to do that. Start building Charlotte as a heel again. Eventually, I don't know how they would make Bayley a heel, but that's another
I don't
issue.
see Shayna Baszler as a face either, so I don't know how that.
So they could always
happen.
just do a heels and faces, but it's just like a common enemy sort of thing. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. I see that happening in a few years. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were just suddenly like, "Hey, WrestleMania, we're doing this main event." So that's interesting. I think the only other thing to really talk about is
Elias calling Child Protective Services on Bobby Lashley because he kidnapped that little boy. I can't handle that small man child.
But he's great.
He is very funny.
Lashley.
Lashley. But Elias is just killing it as always. Oh gosh.
Elias is greatest.
It's just, it's so funny because nothing else matters. You know what I mean? When I think about stuff, it's like, thanks Metallica for that. No, even think about SmackDown. No, I don't want to continue watching the episode.
We were saying this just yesterday that SmackDown, all of it is Becky.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The company's Becky. Raw has Elias. I love Strowman. I love what they're doing with Bobby Lashley and Leo Rush. I think that's brilliant. Bobby Lashley, he's a little awkward on the mic, so having him have a hype man is brilliant.
Oh, it's brilliant because he needs
especially because Leo Rush is really good at what he does.
He is.
I don't care what anyone says. He's really good at it.
He is.
But Elias is he's that guy. And the fact, I love that they turned him face. He's their top baby face right now. What's going on with Seth and Dean right now is a little weird. I'm honestly not that invested in it.
I know, it's weird because I thought I would be, and it's not doing it for me. I think it's because
it's weird.
It is weird to me to have Seth Rollins be the face. I think that's what's weird. It's awkward.
I love Dean Ambrose as a heel, but it's Seth Rollins as a face
Ambrose
that's
is
weird.
excellent as a heel. I think they both are so good as heels. And to me, Rollins is awkward as a face, in my opinion. He's great as a competitor, and on the mic he's not bad. He doesn't give bad promos. There's just something awkward about him being a face to me. And it's just weird.
The only other thing they really have on Raw is whatever they're doing with Drew McIntyre. I don't know what they keep going back and forth with that.
Happening?
And then Braun Strowman.
Exquisite.
I honestly, I actually really like Baron Corbin right now. He's actually doing really well.
Weirdly.
I think the feud with Braun Strowman is great. Him costing Strowman the title, brilliant. I hate that Brock Lesnar's champion, but at the same time, brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm sort of intrigued to see where that goes. But like I said, other than that, the only thing I really care about, Elias, Becky Lynch.
That's WWE.
That's WWE right now.
That is it. That's all that's happening. It's but it's so much happening at once. But I'm emotionally exhausted.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching and listening to us gripe. It's a difficult time.
If you also walk with Elias You can press the like button.
Everyone's tough until the man comes around.
That too.
Is that what she said? Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, something like that.
something like that.
Okay.
Thanks.